After hearing this, Edwin thought to himself that Roman's intentions must be countered this time. He realized the reason Roman didn't attend the international meeting was because he assumed the Kingdom Alliance would not agree to his plans for revenge. That was the judgment Roman had made. Edwin smiled and declared that he would attend the international meeting again. The scene then shifts to the meeting, where the King of Idalia expresses his anger upon hearing that Dimitri's declaration of war has nothing to do with the two kingdoms. He questions why this attitude differs from the previous meeting. Edwin replies that he is unaware of the details since Dimitri had rejected him, which is why Edwin is attending this meeting on his behalf. Internally, Edwin reflects that Roman's true aim in the international meeting is to achieve one thing: the division of the Kingdom Alliance. The King of Odelia then states that if Cairo and Dimitri fall, it will directly impact their alliance. The collapse of Dimitri and Cairo would provide Kronos with the opportunity to secure the northern territories, giving them a foothold to conquer the continent. Kronos would then focus all efforts on suppressing the Kingdom Alliance. The King of Odelia concludes that the Kingdom Alliance must now decisively abandon Dimitri and focus on strengthening their own unity. The King of Redford firmly states that he will refuse. He reiterates that, as he mentioned in the previous meeting, the Kingdom of Redford will share its fate with Dimitri. Regardless of what the King of Odelia says, it is futile. Redford will prepare for war and await Dimitri's call. As expected, cracks appeared in the alliance. With the King of Odelia withdrawing, the second international meeting ended without yielding any positive results. The scene then shifts to the King of Odelia's palace, where he, frustrated, reflects that it is all over. Roman Dimitry, in his recklessness, has dragged everyone into a precarious situation. Even with the combined power of the Kingdom Alliance, they cannot hope to suppress the Kronos Empire. The King of Odelia resolves that he cannot let Odelia meet its end in this manner. Even if it is humiliating, a king's duty is to ensure the survival of his kingdom. With this in mind, the King of Odelia contacts Commander Paul. He informs Paul that, as of now, the Kingdom Alliance is effectively dissolved, and he wants to know what must be done to ensure Odelia's survival. Hearing this, Commander Paul couldn't help but smile. Of the three nations in the Kingdom Alliance, excluding Frank, the other two had succumbed to reality. The scene then transitions to a few days later at the Kronos Empire's eastern outpost, known as Rascal Territory. The scene opens with two soldiers conversing among themselves, questioning how Dimitri could possibly stand against the Kronos Empire. One soldier remarks that, no matter how strong Dimitri might be, it is impossible to face such a powerful adversary. At that very moment, Chris appears from behind and takes down one of the soldiers with a single strike. The other soldier, shocked, attempts to alert his comrades, but is swiftly taken down by Chris with another decisive blow. Chris then informs Roman through a magical communication device that he has secured the targeted location. Dimitri estimates that the main forces of the Kronos Empire will arrive at the site in approximately 6 hours. Upon hearing this, Roman orders his soldiers to eliminate as many enemies as possible before their arrival. Chris responds, "Yes, Lord Roman." On a night when the world was at rest, Dimitri lit the spark that signaled the beginning of war. The scene then shifts to Count Paul, the commander of Rascal Territory. Count Paul reads a letter from the Kronos Empire, which declares that a small nation dares to oppose the might of Kronos. The letter commands Rascal to gather its forces and prepare to face Cairo, Dimitri, and any allied forces. The Kronos Empire vows to crush them all. Count Paul reflects that once the main forces of Kronos arrive at Rascal, Dimitri will not be able to hold out for long and will inevitably fall. There seemed to be no movement to assist Dimitri, leaving no chance for his victory. At that moment, a soldier rushed in and informed Count Paul that a fire was spreading across Rascal Territory. Shocked by the news, Count Paul hurried outside to assess the situation and was horrified to see flames consuming the area. He immediately ordered the Rascal soldiers to extinguish the fire. As he surveyed the scene, Count Paul noticed the distinct smell of oil and quickly realized that the fire had been deliberately set. He ordered his soldiers to move the supplies to the warehouse immediately, but upon arrival, he was shocked to see that the warehouse was already ablaze. Count Paul then commanded his soldiers to secure the magical scrolls without hesitation, urging them to follow his orders promptly. To his astonishment, Count Paul saw someone inside the warehouse. It was Roman Dimitry. Realizing the situation, Count Paul yelled for his soldiers to stop Roman at once. The soldiers charged forward to strike Roman together, but Roman effortlessly took them down with a single strike. At that moment, Count Paul declared a red alert across Rascal territory, ordering all soldiers to prepare for the worst. Shortly after, the main forces of the Kronos Empire arrived, led by the 7th Division, known as the Kronos 7th Sword. One of their leaders, observing the situation, inquired if it was already too late to intervene. In Rascal, the Kronos forces included the 1st Sword, led by Vinter, the captain of the 7th Knight Order, and the water-manipulating group known as the Blue Island Mages. This overwhelming presence was the reason Count Paul was so confident of victory. With a sense of triumph, Count Paul confidently told Roman that this would be the end for him. As Roman systematically took down the remaining soldiers, he calmly stated, "That's enough for now," standing directly in front of Count Paul. Then, in a flash, Roman disappeared into the flames before Count Paul's eyes. Stunned, Count Paul couldn't believe what he had just witnessed. He assumed Roman was retreating like a coward and told his soldiers that Roman had walked straight into their trap. He urged them not to miss this opportunity and ordered his troops to track Roman down. One of the soldier squads eventually located Roman, but as they tried to apprehend him, Roman effortlessly took them down. One of the surviving soldiers managed to escape and reported to Vinter via the communication device, stating that the soldiers were no match for Roman. However, before the message could fully reach Vinter, Roman appeared and swiftly dealt with the soldier. Another team then reported that Roman had disappeared into the flames once again and that they couldn't pursue him. A few moments later, the 2nd squad was taken down, followed by one team after another, as most of the units sent to pursue Roman were systematically defeated. Witnessing this, Vinter couldn't help but think to himself, "What on earth has Roman done?" As Vinter surveyed the chaos, he spotted an injured soldier and approached him. Vinter inquired where Roman had gone. The soldier, trembling, replied that he didn't know. Roman had single-handedly taken down all the Rascal forces and then disappeared into the flames. Shocked by this revelation, Vinter struggled to comprehend how Roman had managed such a feat. Realizing the urgency of the situation, he decided to focus on controlling the raging fire first. Vinter called for support from the Blue Island Mages. Berga, one of the mages, stepped forward and cast a powerful 5th circle spell called Aqua Field to suppress the flames. However, to his astonishment, the fire endured even his advanced magic. Berga was in disbelief. How could even a high-level spell fail to extinguish the flames? Realizing the flames were far from ordinary, Berga concluded that they were fueled by something extraordinary. He informed Vinter that unless they eliminated the source of the inferno, it would be impossible to extinguish the fire. Hearing this, Vinter narrowed his focus and thought to himself, "Roman must be the cause." The soldiers informed Vinter that the northern gate was blocked, as was the western gate. The inferno's flames had engulfed both paths, cutting off all means of escape. Vinter struggled to comprehend the gravity of the situation. With no way out, Vinter and the other soldiers realized they were trapped, along with 10,000 troops, within Rascal territory. Vinter immediately reported to Count Paul, informing him that all escape routes were blocked and that the Kronos forces had walked into a trap. Shocked by this revelation, Count Paul urgently asked if there was truly no way out. Vinter replied that while there was no typical route of escape, the northern gate's wall was older and weaker than the others, and it might be possible for the forces to break through it. Upon hearing this, Count Paul ordered Vinter to abandon the pursuit of Roman and focus on a full retreat. Following the command, Vinter relayed orders to the Kronos forces to regroup and prepare to escape through the northern gate. He instructed all troops to gather there immediately. As the forces began to move, Count Paul silently reflected on Roman's actions. Roman is truly a monster, he thought. Kronos must eliminate him, even if it means using the full might of the Empire. However, as the Kronos forces reached the northern gate, they were met with an unexpected sight. Roman, standing defiantly in front of them. Frustrated and enraged, Count Paul exclaimed. Roman kept running away like a coward. Now, Roman had finally revealed himself. Count Paul, seething with frustration, declared, "If Roman is truly a warrior, then he should fight fair and square." Hearing this, Roman calmly replied, "A duel between me and 10,000 soldiers is what you consider fair. But you call this fire cowardly?" Count Paul retorted, "Of course. If not for this cowardly inferno, you would have been defeated already." Roman smirked and responded, "If that's what you believe, then I will create a path to the northern gate." He added with unwavering confidence, "I promise you, if you defeat me, the Kronos forces will survive this inferno." Count Paul, angered by Roman's arrogance, shouted, "You're too full of yourself, Roman." He then ordered his soldiers to attack Roman together. Winter, alongside the 7th Night Order, charged forward as well. As the battle ensued, Winter managed to strike at Roman. But at that moment, Roman unleashed the second form of his heavenly demon swordsmanship. With a single, devastating strike, Roman caused an enormous explosion that shook the battlefield. Roman thought to himself, there was no scheme from the start. The inferno was merely meant to block the Kronos forces' escape. From the very beginning, my goal was to take down all 10,000 troops of Kronos with my own hands. With that single decisive strike, Roman defeated Winter and his forces, leaving no doubt about his overwhelming strength.